Hey YouTube, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Flysky released a new car and boat radio recently, the FS-G7P, and I received it about 1 week ago and did test and play around with it for a week now, and I guess now I know how it's working, found also some bugs, and now I can present this to you in a video. So that's not only a simple unboxing video, but I will show you programming and how all this stuff works. It's quite a capable radio, has some awesome functions, for example, four-wheel steering, and four-wheel steering rate can be controlled by remote, and it has voltage control of your car Lipo, and it's super budget. But first things first, the probably most important question many of you have, is it really a new protocol? Yes, that's really true. The FS-G7P comes with the so-called AND protocol. Nobody knows why Flysky had to release a new protocol, and this means this radio and the receivers for this radio are not compatible with all other Flysky protocols, which are the AF-HDS protocol, which I use in my Flysky GT3C 8-channel awesome radio, and the AF-HDS2A protocol, which are used in the super popular FS-IT4S, which is also sold under different names here in Europe, and the even more popular FS-GT5. The FS-G7P should probably be replacing the GT5. The GT5 is super popular and budget, about the same price as the FS-G7P, and the GT5 is sold under many different brands, Hobby King, the Turnigy GT5, and here in Europe super mega popular, the really GT6 and the Absima CR6P. I don't have those radios, but I do have a Turnigy Evolution stick radio for my small race FPV quads, and here I use the AF-HDS2A protocol, and the ANT protocol is also not compatible with the AF-HDS3 protocol of the awesome Flysky Noble Pro, and some stick radios. Why did Flysky do this? Probably nobody knows. And nobody knows why the new ANT protocol is not backwards compatible with the AF-HDS2A protocol, or even the AF-HDS super cheap receivers. But there are also some super positive things. A ton of receivers are available or will be available soon, are already announced for the FS-G7P. With the radio there comes a 7-channel receiver, the FSR7P, which is quite awesome. You can check voltage of your Lipo. It does have iBus, 7 channels, quite an awesome and quite small receiver, but there will be a lot more receivers available. Some of those will have ESCs inbuilt, so a 2-in-1 or even light controller, and all this can be controlled by the radio. That's quite awesome. And there will also be available a tiny receiver, the FSR4M, and this seems to have the same small footprint as the GRM receiver, AF-HDS3, for my Flysky Noble. I love it, only no connector for the gyro. And the best thing of those receivers is, you hear it can talk to you. The price is about half of the price of the AF-HDS3 receivers. Still much more expensive than the old AF-HDS receivers, but all those new receivers seem to be quite cheap, less than around 20 bucks, and of course that's awesome. I did already pre-order 2 of those FSR4M receivers. I like those really for my micros. But the FS FS-G7P is not the first radio of Flysky with this new ANT protocol. Flysky released already some time ago a super cheap budget car radio, the FS-G4P. I didn't see it anywhere so far, but it is available here in Europe at Conrad as really Gen 4 radio with ANT protocol, so that's the relabeled FS-G4P. And the good thing is also the 4-channel receivers are available here in local shops on a budget. Normal price is about 20 euros, but on sales I did already see the 4-channel receiver for only 15 euros. And only a few days ago Flysky has released a new stick radio for planes, helicopters and this stuff with the ANT protocol, and also a new 10-channel receiver. The radio is the FS-ST8. So there are 3 types of radio available for this protocol so far, and a ton of receivers. And the ton of receivers are the most positive thing, I think. The radio does come in a quite nice packing, but only with a receiver and wires for voltage detection and not much more. A super simple manual, but you can download and should download a much more detailed manual on Flysky website. That's flysky-cn.com. And there is also a simple manual for the receiver. Of course, that's the manual for the receiver, and that's the manual for the radio. Super small, you need a loop to read, at least I, but detailed, quite detailed and quite okay manual in English, available on Flysky website. So now I will show you the menu and all the functions and programming and how this works. But first things first, if you receive your Flysky FS-G7P and try to put batteries, AA batteries, it takes 4 AA batteries into your radio. It is possible that it will not work. Mine didn't work, and the further customer also reported that it didn't work. The problem are the contacts here. Those are too far inside and don't give contacts to the AA batteries. You can bend those contacts. I used some metal stripes, those are for soldering batteries, and placed them here, as you can see here now, and then it works with the AA batteries. So 2 out of 3 customers of the FS-G7P I know so far reported this problem. And if it doesn't work, simply maybe you can bend those contacts or put a little bit of metal or aluminum foil here to the position of the dotted contacts, and then it will work. But you can also use your FS-G7P with a Lipo, a 2S Lipo with red JSD connector. I will put it inside now and show you then how to change the settings for low voltage alarm. But I wouldn't know why to use a Lipo. Come on, always the problem with the balance plug. That's a super small Lipo, 460 milliamp hours only. There's a Lipo, 1200 milliamp hours Lipo available, at least here in Europe, for 18 euros for such radios, but I wouldn't know why to use a 1200. That's about the maximum, because most Lipos won't fit. For example, the 1000 milliamp hours 2S Turniches I have won't fit. To pay 18 euros for a Lipo, if you get rechargeable NEMH batteries, for about 4, 5, 6 bucks, much cheaper, with 2450. Those from IKEA do have 2500 milliamp hours, so you get a full set of NEMH with 2000 to 2500 milliamp hours capacity for 4, 5, 6, 7 bucks, and why would you pay 18 bucks without shipping for a Lipo with only half of the capacity? And they are much easier to charge. Every child can charge them. I will not use a Lipo. I will only use it now to show you that it works and how to change the settings. So let's check the radio. It looks quite cheap, plasticish, so no comparison to the Noble and also not to the GT3C. The steering wheel is simple plastic. You can get it off with a 2.5mm hex screwdriver, and the steering wheel with foam is an upgrade. You have to buy it separately, so that's not really high quality. Funny thing, the screw holding the steering wheel did already have some damages, some scratches when I checked it first. It's large, it's super large, so I will never be able to one-hand driving. You have to be a giant and have huge hands to be able to drive this radio one-handed. It does have a place for a lanyard here, and here for a camera holder, smartphone holder. I did already order it to mount a smartphone, GoPro, whatever. That's not carbon, but handle is quite okay, but of course not as nice as the rubberized handles of the GT3C or the Noble. And here's a USB-C port. You can power the radio by USB-C, so that's quite nice. Don't need any batteries inside, and it's also used for connecting it to a computer and to the Flysky software and to update the firmware. The manual does not state if this USB-C port can be used to connect it and use the FS-G7P for a simulator, so I'm not sure. There's some strange description in the manual, but future will tell. What else? The on-off switch is here. Sound, of course, you can adjust this. Asks you always if you want to set failsafe now. Don't want to do it now. It does have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 knobs or switches to control additional channels. Channel 1, channel 2. Here you have a knob, push button, that's called SW1, so switch 1. Here for turning, that's called VR1, and here's a quite nice button that's 3 ways. That's used for trim, but you can change this. You see the trim, throttle, but you can also use it for other channels, and left, right for steering, of course. And you can also push it. Use it as buttons, so you can control 3 channels or 3 servos only by this. Here we have the switch 2 as normal, a push button here. This TR1, they call it, that's a 3-position switch. I will connect servos later and show this to you. The manual says it's only for 2 ways, but I found that a 3-position switch too. And here we have a 3-position switch. And here we have a further knob, and they call this 3-position switch, but that's not true. You can control a servo by this knob, turning it, and it's proportional. It's not only on off. So that's quite nice, of course. By far not as many possibilities as in the Noble. And the receiver that comes with the FS-G7P is a 7-channel receiver. You have here ports for channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here channel 6. Here channel 7. And here this port is for a bind plug. I had to bind my receiver to the radio. It was not bound. And the last port, that's called VCC or BVD, battery voltage detection or power. You can power it up. Of course, you can power it up on each port here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 channels, channel 6, channel 7. What's quite strange, this channel is called servo, and that's for iBus out. And here's a channel that's called sense, that's for sensors. But for checking the battery voltage of your car battery or Lipo, you don't need this sensor port. You simply plug it into the last port here. This wire does come with the radio, with the set. And I tried voltage sensors. No, that's for the iBus. Those Flysky voltage sensors, and they did not work, so it's not necessary anyway. We have the wire, but that's quite strange. And what was even more strange, for binding you can use a bind plug, and for update you can use the normal bind plug in this direction, as we know from the Flysky Noble, but it does also have a bind button, and this bind button does not work. It should work if you press it, come on, before powering up the receiver, or if you press it if the receiver is already powered for several seconds. But it did not work in mine. I had to bind it and use a bind plug. And of course I opened the receiver, of course, to check what's inside there. What I found was this piece of paper glued with some glue to the button on the other side. I show this to you here now in the video. And I removed this paper, but it didn't work. And then I tried to activate the bind button, or to activate binding mode, by directly pressing the bind button, because on the board there is a push button, but this doesn't work. So at least in my receiver, the FS-R7P, the bind button does not work. And I guess Flysky did already check this in some way, otherwise they wouldn't have glued this paper with hard glue to this position to make it work, but the bind button on the board does simply not work. And on the display, if you power it on, you see the timer, and you see steering left and right, and you see throttle up and down. You can see the trim steps. Check it here. Steering and also for throttle. You see the power of the batteries or the Lipo in the radio. You can see the power of the radio, but that's wrong here now. It's 6 volts because the radio comes in AA battery mode. 6 volt is maximum, and you have to change the settings to Lipo to see the voltage of your Lipo. You saw before, I put the Lipo inside, and I will show you how to change this later. And here, of course, you have model number 1, and of course you can rename your models. It does have model memory for 20 different models. And here is dual rate for steering and throttle, and BK, what's probably brake, and what's this knob here. And I have to say I would highly prefer to be able to see the voltage of the car Lipo or something else here than dual rate, but I didn't find a way to change the display here or to change the information given on the display here. The only additional information, if we put a model in 4-wheel steering, you will see 4WS here, and I will show this to you later. And now let's get into the menu. Flysky, no. Controlled is the menu, and all the navigation is done by this knob here. That's a 5 position. Up and down, left and right, and push. If you push it, you get to the first page of the menu, and here you have 8 main menus. You see, I go up now. That's the system set menu. Then we have the reverse endpoint, subtrim, dual rate, and curves, and smart vehicle control menu and beginner menu. Then we have the aux channels 3 to 7, which can be set up separately. That's super nice. Then we have the mixers, steering mixing, super nice, including for tracks and 4-wheel steering. Then we have the timer and lap counter. We have switch assignment, what's also quite nice. And then we have the receiver set, failsafe, binding, range test, sensor, ESC set, and iBus set. Then we have the model. You can select 20 different models, name it of course, copy the model and reset the model. And then we have system again. Let's go to system first, and there I push the knob to the right side. Now I'm in the system. Now I'm pushing the knob, and you see here we have language English now. You push this button and then it blinks and you can change. There are only 2 possibilities, English and Chinese. And then you have to push it to the left side again to get out. And then you go down and you have idle alarm. That's if there is no movement, it will give alarm. It's set to 3 minutes now. That's annoying anyway. I will give it 10 minutes. And to confirm this, you don't have to push the button. As you see here, you have to go to the left side. And battery type, AA battery, you know, I changed to Lipo. Push it and then go up or down, and you come to a further point. That's other 4.2 volts. I don't know what this is. 2S Lipo. And that's what I do have now. And then you have to go left again and change the alarm settings. And that's why I go back to, have to go up, AA battery. Then it stops to give alarm because it has a high voltage alarm now, and you have to set it up first. And then you can set the brightness of the display, and I will go to maximum now. That's for sure better to see on camera. That's 15. Confirm by going left, not by pushing the button. Go down, LED on off. That's this small blue LED, so you can on or off. You see now it's off, so this is a signal for working or whatever. Nice blue LED. Okay, you have to confirm by left. Then we have the sound. we have system and alarm. It's annoying. Sound off. That's better. I will do this, but not for this video. I want to annoy you with this sound too, and it's probably better to follow if there is sound. Then we have only system and only alarm, and system and an alarm again. To have to confirm going left, you have to get used to this. That's not super intuitive. Then we have the volume, but I will, come on, go down with the volume. 80, 100, no. 40, 20, 40 is good. Confirm by going left, go down, and now we are up again. So that's the system menu. Then we can go to calibration. That's still in system set. That's, come on, calibration. And therefore you can calibrate throttle, steering, and this knob here, what's VR2. And to do this, simply press it and then put all those to the maximum position. So steering maximum left, maximum right, maximum left, throttle maximum, maximum reverse, and this VR2 knob here, maximum to one position, maximum to the other position, center. And now you can wait, or you go left, and then calibration success. Firmware update. You can update, but I guess there's no update on Flysky side. There was no new firmware. That's brand new. Cancel. Then we have factory settings. I used this already many times. So to set the whole radio to factory settings again, to show you what you get. If you want to change, okay. But I don't want now. Cancel. Then we have help. What's for the manual? You can download the manual and more. That's only to Flysky website. And about, here you will find the version you have of your FS-G7P. You see that's the firmware version 10022, and from February 21st, 2022, hardware 1.5 and RF 1.0, don't know what it is. And then we are up again, and this was the system set menu. You have to push it left to go out again. And the second menu is setting reverse, endpoints, subtrim, dual rate curve, and smart vehicle control and beginner mode. Therefore, you don't have to connect the receiver to the right in here, press it, and then we have all 7 channels, and you can adjust or change. You can reverse all 7 channels. Confirm by left, confirm by left, and going right by up. Now going right by down and going left by up. That's what we have to get used to. Confirm left. Endpoint adjustment. That's super nice here, because you can adjust endpoints for left and right for all 7 channels. You see, steering, throttle, channel 3, 4, 5, 6. But you can't go down, you have to scroll through all the channels to get to every channel, and you can adjust them independently. Endpoint adjustment, that's called travel in my Spectrum radio. As usual, 120 to 0. And that's really super nice. So not only dual rate, but also endpoint adjustment. Much nicer. You can change left and right separately, and for all 7 channels. That's really super nice, not only for the main channels. Then we have subtrim. You can change the center of each channel. Again, super nice. For all 7 channels, you can adjust, change the center position by subtrim. Super nice. Then we have dual rate, and you can change dual rate only in the steering, channel 1, throttle, channel 2, and the so-called brake rate. What's for this knob, I guess. And don't press it now. Come on. Down. First you have to activate it. Off, on, off, on. And if you activate it, come on, go up, and then you can change dual rate. You see here on the button 100%, and you see what happens. Only a little bit. And that's how, for example, the old SCX24 radios make their first, second and third gear. This means you only do have less power. I don't know why that's so important if you have endpoints, and I don't know why that's in the main menu. However, we have it. Confirm, left. Go up, no. Go down, right. Switch it off again. I'm sorry. Okay, press, change, left, left. Then we have curves and also expo. You can set your throttle and steering curve and also the brake curve. Therefore, first you have to activate it. Maybe one day I will learn how to use it, and then you see you can go that direction or the other direction. Maybe that's a little bit useful in some receivers with super poor throttle control. Normally you use this stuff in airplanes and also in helicopters without a governor. I don't see any need now, so you can change steering, throttle and brake curve. And then we have smart vehicle control, but you need special receivers for this, and then can change all this stuff by the radio. I don't have such a receiver now, so that's like gyros and stuff like this. Okay, and we have beginner mode, and it's off, and you can switch it on, and then you see now we have on steering and on throttle beginner mode only 50%, but you can also set it, for example, only for throttle if you want to let your kids drive or someone who can't drive. So you see steering is now off. I have 100% steering, but throttle is on, only 50%. If you let your wife, no, don't say this. Let's switch it off again. Okay, confirm by left and go left again. So this was this setting menu, and I go left, left, come on. And now we go to the Aux Channel Menu, and here you see all channels 3 to 7, and you can set them up, and that's super nice. Type null, type knob, and then you see the knobs you can use. VR1 is, where is VR1? VR1 is this one. And you see, you can also go to switch. Now we have switch 1. Switch 1 is this button, and you see what happens. But you can't only go to switch 1, of course. You can go to trim C. Trim C is the push. See what happens. And you can change the direction of all of those. You can control switch 3, switch 2, switch 1, throttle push button. So that's quite nice. And you can do this for every channel, and that's really quite nice. So knob, and then null. So it's really quite nice and cool to set up this. Here we have mixes, and that's super cool, because we have steering mixing. We have steering mixing type off, and we can go to 4-wheel steering, and we can go to track steering, and I will show you how to set up 4-wheel steering later. And it's track, super nice. Confirm. You can control a tank, and you can adjust all areas of steering and throttle separately. You see here we have throttle and maximum, and if you go down, you can adjust throttle in forward, and of course in reverse, and the same thing for steering. What's I guess here, so we have now steering full. No, I was wrong. Was I wrong? I'm not sure. However, you can set all this up, and if you are a tank driver, you will know how to do. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more mixes. And to mix, come on, mix 1, use off, switch it on, and then confirm. You have the master. That's here, for example, DIR, but that's direction, that's steering. Why is it complaining? I don't know. Maybe because of low battery. Stop to complain. And slave channel 3. I will switch this off now. So Lipo was low, probably I changed to my AA and MHs again, and we were at mixing. You can set and see it all on the display. Mix 1, I already switched it to on, and you have the master. You can change the master, throttle, channel 3, channel 4, 5, 6, 7, and again steering. And slave is channel 3 now. You see what happens with master and slave, and you can change this. Come on. High and low different. Go to 50% high. Confirm, and you see master makes 100% and slave only 50. In reverse it does 100, 100. Now in both directions, and you can offset it. You can offset it in minus or plus, and you see the starting point is on a different position of the slave now. So if I do now, quite nice functions and quite easy to program. I have to admit this menu is quite easy to understand. So mixing, easy to understand. Next main menu is the timer and the lap list. That's also quite cool. Setting the timer in the timer menu. Timer works quite awesome, but you should assign, before you set the timer, 2 buttons for start and stop of the timer. I will show this to you later now, but didn't do it now. Let's go into the timer menu now. You see you have here timer and lap list. Lap list is quite cool. And in the timer menu you have the type up, counts from 0 up, down, you have to set the time, and lap. Lap's quite cool, therefore we will assign some buttons before. If you go up, you don't have to do anything, but if you go to down, you have to set the alarm function from off to on, and then, come on, you can set the time from whatever, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, confirm, and whatever seconds, and it will start. Here you can't start and stop the timer now, only if you wanna do it by throttle. If you switch to throttle on, then as soon as you pull throttle, the timer will start. I have now 55 minutes down, but you cannot stop the timer now. Have to go to the menu again, timer on, and I will stop it now here in the menu, but of course we won't do this, and I will also reset it. Yes. So if we really want to work with the timer, we have to assign 2 switches to the timer for start and stop, and therefore I go now to the next menu, what is switch assign. And what we want to do now, I want 2 switches. You see we have switch 1, switch 2, switch 3, and trim set, the trim button here. You will find that you cannot assign all of those 4 switches to timer. So if I go to switch 1, which would be this button here, and press it, function press off, and I can assign this to steering, throttle, brake curve, timer start, and timer reset. But it won't work. If I press it, this control not support. Okay, that's quite strange, don't know why it's here now. And the same is for switch 3, which is here, function off, timer start, will not support. So I found you only can assign the timer start and reset function to switch 2, which is this button here, function off, timer start. I will start the timer now with this button on the handle. OK. Go left again, go down, and then we have the trim set. That's this button here. Press it and function off, and I will set it to timer reset. OK. And now we can go to the main screen and I can start the timer. I have still down. Stop the timer also by this, but also start it by throttle because I assigned throttle. I won't do this later. And stop it here. And I can reset it by the trim button. But now we go to the timer menu and make this a little bit more convenient. Where is it? Here it is. Timer. So first of all, I don't want throttle on. I switch this off again, confirm. Then I don't want, come on little timer, type down. I want now go to type up, confirm, and now we would have what we probably would use to stop something. Start it, stop it, start it again. It will continue, but will not count time in the brakes. Stop it, and for resetting, 0. But that's not the coolest thing. The coolest thing is this lap count. So we go to the timer menu again, and now we go from type up to type lap. And what will happen now? We can also see it here. I still have assigned start to the channel 3 or to the button on the handle. I started. And now I stop it, but it does lap count. I see the time now for a short time, but it continues to run. I stop it. This was the round lap. This lap was 8 seconds, but it continues. This lap was only 4 seconds. And this lap was 5 seconds. And now we can go to lap list. And what you see here is super cool. You see all laps up to 99. You have to scroll down now. They're all in all time. Every time I press the start stop button, you see this will change. And here the average time of one lap, and here first lap, second lap, third lap. You can go down. You go to, here we are now on 6th lap. I stop. And you see 7th lap, and you have to go 99 to the first page again. There are 21 pages, and you see all in all time, average lap time, and all laps from 1 to 99. And this still runs. You see it on the main menu, main screen. Stop. This lap was 27 seconds. This lap was 3 seconds. And all we are running now nearly 1 minute. Now we are on more than 1 minute. Okay, lap does only count, seems to be 24 seconds. I let this run now for more than 1 minute and we will check. I speed it up. What happens? So that's more than 1 minute now. I stop it and it only counts 25.55 seconds and it should have been 85. So probably 1 minute is the maximum lap time it can count. And now let's check in the timer menu. Lap list. What happened here? We have to check the last laps. The fastest lap is with a star. And no, it does count. You see here, that's okay. Here you see the last lap. It was 1 minute and 25 seconds and 55 hundredths probably. So 1 minute 25.55. So it works, and if I stop it now here, you see the next lap. And now we have some kind of alarm. I don't know why. I can stop this timer still. This was this second. And I can reset the timer and start again. Stop. Stop. Reset it. Have to start again. And in the menu, we will see those still normally on the lap list. You see the lap list still continues to count up to 100. I want to go to the top. Would be nice if there would be okay. So we are counting now for 5 minutes 14 seconds, for average time 19 seconds, and the fastest time is marked by a small star. So that's lap, and I will change this to up now to be able to stop. And now I do only have a normal timer if I want. Start. Stop. It will not continue to count. Continues from 4.85 seconds if I press the button again. And reset it. And down, same stuff. And you will have to set alarm. So that's the timer function. Quite awesome. Quite a lot of possibilities if you race, but to count your lap times. Super nice. After the timer submenu, there comes the switch assign menu. However, therefore, I will go to the next menu first. That's receiver set, because I don't have a receiver now connected to the radio, because I want to show you the switches working with servos connected. And here in the receiver set, we have first failsafe. You can set failsafe. That you see that's not set now. Now it's off and now it's on. And now simply the radio asks you set all channels to current entering output value, or entered output value probably, and that's okay for me. So I click OK. So I have 0 throttle, 0 steering, and 0 brake. And now it should be set. Next is Bindset, and I have to bind my receiver again now. I reset the factory settings and my receiver was not bound. So let's go to Bindset, and here you have first the possibility to change ANT protocol one-way, two-way. We want two-way, so receiver also sending information to the radio, and I choose ANT two-way. Come on. Then receiver type, we have standard, and receivers with ESC don't have those. Cancel. So receiver type standard, and then we have output PWM iBus. That's what I want, but you can also choose PWM S-Bus, PPM iBus, and PPM S-Bus. PWM iBus is okay. Then we have frequency, and that's analog, digital, and others. And in others you can set the frequency. Come on, others. And you can set the frequency, and that's for the servos. But I will, come on, go to digital again, because I nearly only use digital servo meanwhile. And now we have binding, start. And now I start binding, but before I will set the receiver into bind mode. So here's the receiver. As I showed you already, the bind button here does not work in mine. I connected to an ESC motor. Could also use a BSC for powering it up. And that's it. And now I'm switching on power. You see fast flash, and here I go to start. And now it's binding, bind success. And now everything should work. Motor connected. I have 7 servos here, and I will connect those 7 servos now to the receiver. First I will switch it off and remove the bind plug, channel 1, OK, and if I switch it on again, you see the first servo work. And now I'll connect the 5 more servos to channel 3 to 7. So all 7 channels connected, 6 servos, channel 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, and ESC. Here's channel 6 and here's channel 7. And now we will go back to the switch assign menu and show how all those switches work. If you go to the switch assign menu, you will find here the knobs, trim, switch and knobs buttons listed, but you will also find, for example, if I go to switch 1, which is that switch here, you cannot assign those directly to channels and servos. You have function off, but then you can choose a ton of options. Timer start, 4-wheel steering cut, mixes, smart vehicle control, steering rate, so presettings and steering and throttle curve, but you cannot directly assign those to a servo or a channel, an aux channel. Therefore, you have to go to the aux channel setup, and here you find every channel, but there's still quite a bit of confusion there was for me, because all this stuff didn't work always. Sometimes it worked, sometimes not. So I will now assign channel 3, what is this servo here, to a trim, for example. You can choose trim, switch, and knob. Let's go to and null, trim again, and you see confirm by going left. Now I have assigned it to TRY, what is the trim, throttle trim. It's still throttle trim. And you see center, right, left, center, right, left. But therefore, to make this work, you have to go to 100 or to a number higher than 2, what is the number if you go from factory settings, to make this work. So we can go to TRY, we can go to TRX, what is the steering trim, and now this works in X direction. And you see also the steering servo a little bit moving, because steering trim is also still assigned to this TRX. And you can go to TR1, what sometimes works and sometimes not. I had quite a lot of troubles here. Now it seems to work. TR1 is this switch here. And I also have assigned throttle trim to TR1. I thought I did change this. Let's go to the knob and trim menu again. We have trim TR1. It's still on. Okay. Off. Now it's off. Come on. I don't want steering trim. I want off. Now it's off. Excuse my confusion. So now I would have TR1, this 2-position switch here for channel 3. So to one direction, center, other direction, center, one direction. I had really some troubles doing this because it didn't always work. However, now it seems to work. So we have channel 3 assigned to TR1. Now let's go to channel 4. You see I assigned it to a knob. I assigned it to VR2. What is this one? And you see channel 4 servo. Guess that's an analog servo, and I set to digital, and that's proportional. Channel 5, I set channel 5 to TRX, so channel 5 servo should move now. If I go TR, what is steering trim right and left, and now it does not work anymore. And that's again some confusion. I really don't know. It's assigned to trim and to trim X now. TR1, TRY, so it should now work that way, and it does not. And I really don't know what the problem is here. Sometimes I get TRY and TRX to work, as I showed you in channel 3. No, in channel 3 I do have TR1 now, but let's go to TRY, and this works now. What's really quite confusing, I don't know if that's a bug. TRX, so the trim knob again works. Super strange. And TR1 still works. Let's try channel 4. Not the knob, let's try trim. Trim, and that's now on TRY. Does not work. TRX also does not work. Trim works. So that's a bit of confusion. I really don't know the reason why this works sometimes and not the other time. So now I have assigned it to switch 1, and switch 1 probably also, what is this, 3, 4, 5, channel 6. Confusing. Let's assign it to switch 2, switch 3. Switch 3 is this one, 2 position switch. Now it works. It's a 3 position switch. Center, other direction, center, center. Okay, this was channel 4. Channel 5 I assigned to TRY, does not work now. Let's assign it to a knob, this VR1 knob. Okay, VR1, okay, and now it should work, and it does work. Proportional with this knob. And channel 6 I assigned to switch 1, which is this switch, yeah, and this works. Okay, you can probably assign more than one channel to one switch. Let's try the same with channel 7 and assign it to switch 1, 2. And now both should work. Yes, that's okay. And TR set is the push button, also works. And you can reverse all the channels. So can I get all servers to work now? I have channel 3. Someone remembers where I assigned it to? I assigned it to TR1. I did also have troubles to set up this. It did not always work. And channel 4 I assigned to, no, I assigned to this 3 position switch. It has a center position, but it's hard to stop and center. And channel 5, no, channel 5 I assigned to this knob, channel 6 I assigned to this button, and channel 7 to this button. So a little bit of confusion, and I only show you now my successful tries. There was a lot of confusion, and for example I did not get the TR1 button or switch to work for quite a time, and now it simply works again. Strange as it is. Normally you would say the problem sits in front of the monitor or of the screen, so that I'm the problem. I'm not totally sure if I'm really the problem. So let's go on. And let's go not to the knobs again, let's go to the receiver set again and check the further options we have here. And now let's go to the receiver menu again and check the further options. We did already have failsafe and bind. There's also a range test you can do. Press switch 2 to reduce. SW2 is, where is it? This one. Don't really know how this works, never did it anyway. The FS-G7P is also able to do a range test. And now let's go to sensor. There are a lot of sensors you can connect to the receiver probably. However, I do not have sensors but those voltage sensors, Flysky CVT01, which work with the AF-HDS3 protocol and the AF-HDS2A protocol, and they do not work with this receiver and radio. I tried it on the sensor port and on the iBus port, and it does not show the voltage of the car Lipo. However, it's not necessary anyway, because there is a sensor wire which makes this super easy. So here you see on the menu radio voltage. I changed this back to 8 to my Lipo, my small Lipo, to show you this. The radio is still set to AA battery mode, so 6 volts, but I put the Lipo in and there is no alarm now. But you see the correct voltage, 8.2 volt of my 2S Lipo. And if you go and switch it on, voltage check, come on, and you see it's now alarm because it's not in Lipo mode. The alarm value is 6.5 volt high voltage. Of course I can switch this off, but I could also, change it in the system settings to Lipo mode now. System. I switch from AA battery to 2S Lipo, and now this should be fine, but it is not. Why it is not fine? Come on, correct menu, sensor, because type is on and the alarm type is still high alarm, so it doesn't switch. If you change from AA to Lipo to 2S Lipo, it does not change this. So let's go down and change this high to low. And of course I do not want 4.2 volts. Come on, stop complaining. On a 2S Lipo I want maybe 6.2 volts as low voltage alarm. Okay. And why does it still complain? Anyone knows? Not me. Let's switch it off and switch it on again. I want a low voltage alarm. Okay, now it stopped. No. It complains. Why does it complain now? Alarm type low. 6.2 volts. Alarm type high. Oh, 6.5 volt. That's still the AA mode, so you have to set probably high and low separately. I don't need any high, but however, let's do 8.5 volt. So now it's on 8.5 volt. A full 2S Lipo does have 8.4 volt, and now it's calm. So you have to set low and high alarm separately if you switch the alarm on. And what you see is the receiver voltage. That's super nice. That's a 6 volt BEC of this Charisma ESC here. And you have the BVD voltage, what is the battery voltage detection, what that does not work with those sensors, as I already told you, but it works really nicely with the sensor wire that comes with the radio and the receiver. You have to plug it on the last port, VCC BVD, and then you have to plug it to the balance plug of your Lipo. It can detect voltages up to 30 volts. What's a 7S Lipo, I guess. That's a 2S Lipo. And as soon as you plug it to your Lipo, you see BVD voltage 7.8 volts. That's nice, because why do you complain, please? Okay. This also happened to me several times. Let's set failsafe. Yes. Come on. It simply complained and then started again. So here we are again. Here we are in sensors again. And everything seems to work. I also had this problem when I clicked on noise alarm and shut down new start. So I go to BVD voltage. I type off. I want to go on. Okay, that's what we want. And of course we don't want a high alarm. I don't know why that's factory setting. We want, of course, a low alarm. And of course we don't want a low alarm 4.2 volts. We want a low alarm in driving, let's say 6.4 2S Lipo. Would be nice if there would be an auto detection. Let it complain at 6.4. And you can also calibrate your radio. Therefore, simply, I did already do it, but I went back to factory setting. Let's see, 7.8 volts should have. You should, please don't complain. Measure the voltage. Use a multimeter for this. That's better than. But here we have, yes, 7.85 volts more or less. Radio is still complaining. 7.8 volt is okay. Connect it again, because we have low voltage alarm now. That's a bit annoying. If you would not connect it, it would give alarm. So and now you see you can calibrate the voltage if it shouldn't be correct. Is there a possibility to go further? Yeah. It just succeeded. Okay, that's how it works. What's a bit annoying, if you go back, you see it always jumps from BVD voltage up to receiver voltage, but that's not the problem. The problem is as soon as you use this now, let's see if it will complain. I switch the receiver off and disconnect the voltage sensor. And now I switch the receiver on again. Yes, it's complaining. So that's quite a bummer. So if you don't connect the voltage sensor wire, you will have, come on, alarm all the time. So I will switch it off now. It's nice to have, but it would be nice if there is no sensor wire. If you want to run your truck or car, if there wouldn't be any alarm. Then we have signal type off, on, alarm type low, alarm value 30. Honestly, I don't know if 30 is okay. Probably it is okay. And then we have noise. What's probably the signal noise? We have off. Come on. And we can switch it on. And alarm if there's high noise, low noise. I don't know who will. High noise 120 decibel m per meter. I don't know. And can you change this? Yes, you can set alarms for noise, probably signal noise. That's a bit super sophisticated. Don't know who wants this or who uses this. Okay, what else we have? SNP, SNR, signal ratio, probably also in decibel. RSSI, also decibel meter, so those are some signal strengths probably I can't explain to you. Then we go back to the receiver set menu. We have head sensors now. You see voltage detection works really nicely. Doesn't work with the external voltage sensors from Flysky. Maybe there will be other sensors. I don't know any sensors for, especially for this radio now, and I don't have any other sensors. Then we have ESC set, but this, please switch to ESC RX. This means that's for the receiver ESC units that are sold for the FS-G7P for the ANT protocol. Okay, and then we have iBus set, and iBus is the same as always. You have to, for example, go channel 3, and then you have to connect the iBus receiver and assign the channel. I will show this to you now. Even if I don't see it makes a lot of sense with the servo. I have here one of those small iBus receivers. I did already make a video for the Flysky Noble with those. You can make a 4-channel receiver to a 8-channel receiver by this and connected a servo to channel 1 of the iBus receiver. And now I connect the iBus receiver to the iBus port, which is the called servo here. It has power, and now I have to assign a channel on the iBus receiver, and I will assign the K1. I want K1. And now, okay. It's okay now. However, still doesn't work. I have it on channel 3 now, and I have to, of course, assign channel 3 to any button. Now let's go to switch one. Switch one is which one? That one here. Okay, and now it should work. And you see it works with the iBus receiver. However, I wouldn't know why to use an iBus receiver here, because that's already a 7-channel receiver, and the radio does also only have 7 channels, so you can't get more channels out of this with the iBus receiver. However, of course, the iBus function is super cool, and also S-Bus. I don't use S-Bus, but iBus, for example, the Lameboys RC light controller, those awesome pieces, they have now iBus control implemented. I did already show this to you in my last Capo Cup 1 video. I should probably make a special video, because this is absolutely genius. So then you can use and control 3 functions of the Lameboys RC light controller only by one iBus cable. So you can use a small receiver. I don't even know if there are receivers of the ANT protocol with less than 7 channels. If the 4-channel receivers they sell do have iBus functions. However, even with this receiver, with the Lameboys RC light controller in iBus control setup, this will work. So iBus is cool if you know how to use it. I honestly rarely use it, only for the Lameboys RC light controller and for the 4-channel receivers for the Flysky Noble initially, when there was no 8-channel receiver, to make an 8-channel receiver out of this. Okay, iBus does work. And what else? Oh, here is radio. iBus setup. Not more. So the receiver explained. And the next menu is the model menu. And then finally I will explain and show 4-wheel steering. Model menu is simple. Receiver switched off. You can select 20 models. I have model 1 now. Yes, I'm sure. And then you can, of course, choose the model name. You can use 9 digits for this. Model 01. And now I don't want OK. I want to go in. I call it B, C, 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 C. Okie dokie. And now I want to go to OK. Come on. OK. Successfully. OK. I am now in model CCCC. Model 1 is now named CCCC. Super cool, stupid, whatever. Copy model is also quite nice. So you have from, you can choose any model. As always, 2, model 2, 3, whatever place you want. So let's copy CCCC from 1 to 2. OK. Confirm copy. Come on. You have to push the button down to go left. That's a bit confusing. Copy succeeded. OK. OK, I want to the menu. And let's go and check. OK, you see we have CCCC on 1 and CCCC on 2 now. Now I go to 2, I have to go down. OK. And I want to reset model 2 now. Oh, come on, you have to go down and then press reset success. And now I go to select, and you see model 2 reset to factory settings. Okay. So there's something else? No. Super simple and works. And now let's check finally the four-wheel steering. And now let's check four-wheel steering. Therefore I use one of those tiny four-wheel steering trucks and connected front and rear servo to the receiver. And I connected the front servo to channel 1, of course, and the rear servo to channel 3. And that way we can see how this works quite nicely. So you see now there's only front steering, and we have to go to mixes, and then to steering mix. Now it's off, on, and you see we have now blinking the channel. This means which channel you want to use. Come on, steering mixing. But we can also go, as I showed you in the beginning, to track. Don't want this. We want four-wheel steering. Select four-wheel steering, confirm. And then we have to select the channel we want to use for the second servo. And we have to select the mode. But you see front steering, that's what it is now. Rear steering, what we call four-wheel steering, not rear, FR steering, front rear steering. And here we have, oh, that's front rear steering R, and that's front rear steering S. That's what we call grab, and that's only rear steering. But that's not so important, because you can choose this later and you can switch between all modes by only one button. So that's it for steering mixing. Now four-wheel steering is on, but it's not activated. And now we have to go back, and now we have to go to the channel assign menu. Not to the channel, to the switch assign menu. And here you select a switch. Probably not trim, nope, cannot do it. A switch, at least a switch for the selection of the mode of the four-wheel steering. And I will select switch 1 now. You see, that's switch 1. And now we have function off. And now we have here the version four-wheel steering cut, four-wheel steering reverse, four-wheel steering B and F. That's probably the four-wheel steering normal, four-wheel steering, and the grab. And the four-wheel steering cut is the best option, because by this option you can switch between all four-wheel steering modes. If you go to reverse, for example, switch 1 on, now you can only control reverse steering by this knob. So not reverse, that was the grab. I don't know the shorts. But however, so you only can select between front steering and grab steering. And what's a pity, you cannot choose two switches. I could, for example, choose a second switch, TR set, what is to push this, and I switch it on. And now I can choose, you see, switch 1 is four-wheel steering. We have four-wheel steering B now. I can select this, but this will not work. I played around quite a bit. We have four-wheel steering here and can switch it off, but you hear this does not work. So that's quite a pity. This means you cannot assign 3 different 4-wheel steering modes to 3 knobs switches. You can only use a switch for this. So we go again to switch. I go to switch 2. I guess that's best for you for using for 4-wheel steering. So switch 1. Come on. Switch 1. Switch 1. Still not used to this. I want to switch it off. Oh, switch off works that way only. Okay, I want to switch off switch 1. Switch 2 is off, and I also switch off TR set now. Off. Okay. Confirm. And I want to use off. And I want to use switch 2 for the 4-wheel steering mode now, to go to through all 4 modes. So I select switch 2 and select function, steering, 4-wheel steering cut. That's it. So now it's on. Switch 2, 4-wheel steering cut. And now I should be able to go through all 4 modes by this button. So I have normal front wheel steering now. Now I have crab. Is this crab? No, I have to reverse the servo. That's the normal steering, 4-wheel steering, what should be the first. Let's go to reverse. And you see channel 1. I reverse it. And now I have 4-wheel steering. And the next I have crab. And the next I had to only have rear wheel steering. And next I do only have front steering. That's nice. However, it would be nicer if you could assign different modes, for example rear wheel steering to this and 4-wheel steering to this and crab mode to that or whatever, but that seems not to be possible. I played around a lot, so you have to choose 4-wheel steering cut and then one switch to go through all 4 modes. And what you will see on the front display, on the main display, 4-wheel steering. But that's not all you can do with 4-wheel steering, because there is something else you can adjust while driving. The intensity of the rear axle wheels, how hard or strong they turn. So therefore you have to go again to the switch assign, and now we go to a knob and choose one of the 2 knobs. I will choose VR2 now here, because that's quite nice to get to. So I go to VR2 and I go to function off, no, steering trim, throttle trim, steering rate, down, 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 and here, that's it, 4-wheel steering rate. So that's super nice. And now we have 4-wheel steering. I go to 4-wheel steering and check this out. By this I can choose the intensity of the rear wheels. So that's super nice. I go from full. Now the rear wheels only turn a little bit. Now they are off, and now they turn full. Now they turn only about half the way of the front. Full. So this is super, super, super nice. Thumbs up for this. 2 thumbs up if there would be a possibility to assign the 3 different all-wheel steering modes to 3 switches. So that's it for this video. Super long as so many times. Conclusion: awesome value for the money. 70-80 bucks depending where you live. For us Europeans it's more expensive now and you get a lot for it, but there are several bugs I found. First, battery, no contact in the battery compartment, at least in mine and of one further customer. That's a bummer, because if people buy it, put batteries in, they think the radio is broken. Second bummer, the bind button does not work. You saw the strange paper. So I guess Flysky knows this. And what else? There. Switch assignment. What's that? Shut up. For example, this TR1 switch knob didn't work several times. Then it worked the same with this 5-way button or joystick here. I could assign it to channels, and then I tried again and it did not work anymore. Here, this 3-position switch is nice, but it's so hard that it's hard with one finger to stop it in center position. Yeah, and the software bugs will hopefully be solved by Flysky. I don't know, I don't think it was me that made the radio shut down and restart. It's for sure good value for the money, but for sure you cannot compare it to the Flysky Noble. This is different category, and of course the Noble Pro. So 70 bucks, around 200. I know prices vary. That's okay. That's much better quality. I don't think it's okay 400 bucks for the Noble Pro compared to the normal Noble. And I think Flysky will come with firmware updates for the FS-G7P soon, and maybe they solve this problem with the assignment of the channels, why this works sometimes and sometimes not. And what would also be super nice, 4-wheel steering works awesome, the rate is awesome, but if it would be possible to assign these 3 further modes, so all-wheel steering, grab mode and rear wheel steering, to 3 buttons, here, here and here for example, this would be super cool. As it is now, you have always either choose only one 4-wheel steering mode, so probably all-wheel steering, and use only this, or you have to go through all 4 modes all the time. That's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope to see you in the next video. I'll be back.